Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and today, again, on this Thursday, we are going to go over another character class for the Level Up Advanced 5th Edition rule set. Today, we're going to talk about the Marshal. The Marshal is the non-magic wielding leader, rebel rouser, support class, and we are going to show this class. Instead of using the PDF, we're going to go over to A5E.tools. It is the online system, so what you will see is the online character maker that has all of the rules necessary to play Level Up Advanced 5th Edition. But first, let's do an official introduction. Guys, thank you very much for being here. The Marshal is like a warlord. They're the battlefield controller. They are the ally. And what I really appreciate about the creation of this character class, amongst many of the others, is the fact that in this particular character class, let me put the your comments up here. The character is a non-magic using class, and I happen to be a fan of character classes that are in the support range. Now, we know classically in modern fantasy D20 that the Bard is very much portrayed as a support class, a class of character that really enhances the capabilities of those around them, and the Marshal is no different. And so we are going to go over this. Yeah, I agree with that. Should I start talking about, an excuse to churn out more rule books? Yeah. And especially with this rule set, it's specifically called Advanced 5th Edition. I think there are, personally, as a designer, as I get older, and I'm not sure if this is a natural trend or something, but us old folks tend to head towards simpler time, simpler methods, and simpler ways of doing things. But whatever. Okay, so this is the website, A5E.tools, down below. You'll see it's in the doobly-doo. And this is the Marshal. Inspirational, cunning, and resourceful tales of the most famed or notorious marshals often spread far and wide through heroic stories or whispers in the shadows about groups beating impossible odds to accomplish a goal, or outlasting opponents with an unusual trick up the sleeve. Some marshals from humble beginnings come from humble beginnings, while others are born destined to be leaders, even if they did not have the intention to take up leadership. Despite the term, many adventurers who have never seen a single battlefield in their life often hold similar skills as that of a marshal. These individuals can range from a leader of a merchant caravan to a volunteer town watch organizer who oversees a village's well-being. Of course, they have the power of command, they're a motivated adventurer, and we go into creating a marshal. And since the inception of Advanced 5th Edition, these are the archetypes that have been created over the time. There's like the Dungeon Delver's Guide, and there is if you join their Patreon, they have a magazine of sorts, and it's where new things are churned out for them. So creating subclasses is a thing in the Patreon, and you can find them here. And these are all of them. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't tell you where they each come from. I know there's 2 or 3 in the Adventurer's Guide in the main book here, but I couldn't tell you where they're at. All right, so of course here, Dungeons and Dragons, you always have a chart here that tells you about what you, as a level system, what you gain at each level. Going across here, of course, we have our level. At first level, proficiency bonus, as pertains to general 5th edition. And then we have our features, and then we have a charted list here for commanding presence. And so the Marshal is known to, by look, if you can see the Marshal or the Marshal can see you, as well as being able to hear the Marshal. This is where their commanding presence capabilities are. And of course, as they gain levels, that commanding presence aura gets longer and wider, enabling them to enhance their allies at a longer range, beginning at 10 feet, moving to 20 feet at 5th level, 30 feet at 10th level, and so on. They also automatically gain followers, something that's not necessarily reinforced in the modern gaming experience, but at least at 5th level, a Marshal begins to gain a follower, and then it goes, of course, they gain more followers as they gain higher levels. We have maneuvers known. There are, in A5E, there are combat maneuvers, and these combat maneuvers, or also known as Marshal maneuvers, are like special Marshal capabilities, similar or in parity to magic spells, but these are non-magic Marshal combat battle tactics and capabilities. And beginning at 2nd level, they start to gain them, and then it goes up from there. And also, there's a limitation on which schools they can learn from. And then all the way at 2nd level and then beyond, they get lessons known. And these are little minor things to shape the character in the manner that you want. And sometimes they're called knacks. Other times they're called skills or capabilities or things. For the Marshal, they're known as lessons. And then we get into the basis of the class feature. They use a die 10 for their hit dice. They are proficient with heavy armor, light, medium, and heavy armor and shields, because they will be on battlefields. All simple and martial weapons. And their saving throws are wisdom and charisma. So, despite the fact that they are wearing heavy armor, you will notice that their wisdom and charisma stats are the ones that you want to pump high. There's also skills to choose from. You get to choose 2 skills, and here's a list of those skills: athletics, history, insight, intimidation, medicine, perception, and persuasion. Also, beginning skill pack, and then we begin with our commanding presence. It's 10-foot radius. Starting at 1st level, you have commanding presence, which extends from you in a 10-foot radius. Your allies can attack at your command. When you take the attack action, you can forego making one attack to allow a friendly creature within range of your commanding presence to make an attack instead. If the target can hear or see you, it can use its reaction to either cast a cantrip or make one weapon attack. And so basically you can forego your attack to encourage one of your allies to make an attack instead. So maybe you're not the damage dealer, but someone else in the party can, and you can give them, when you take your attack action, then you can literally pass it on to them, and then they take an attack action, or they can cast a cantrip or make a weapon attack. Also at 1st level, you get Rallying Surge. Also at 1st level, you can use a bonus action to choose an ally within 30 feet of you. If the target can hear or see you, it regains hit points equal to 1d8 plus your martial level. Once you use this feature, you must finish a long rest before you can use it again. And then as you gain higher levels, you can simultaneously target 2 allies with this feature at 3rd level. And starting at 7th level, you regain use of this feature after finishing a short or long rest instead of just long rest. And this is like one of these features where you can help your allies regain hit points, but it is a non-magical ability. So like if there's something like anti-magic or dispel magic or something like that, it's not prevented from that, as well as the fact, but remember that you can only use it if if the target can hear or see you. So it means you must be visible, usually next to them, you know, or at least maybe if the players are in, especially if they're using A5E, they may be in a situation where maybe somebody's down in a pit or someone's up on a balcony or something like that. But as long as they can hear you or see you, that's good. Especially maybe someone's stuck under rubble or whatever, and you can do that. So, and yes, because this is a bonus action, you can use your bonus action to do this, although you only get to do it once, and then you can also use your other ability for your attack action to allow your allies to attack. Now here we have at second level the combat maneuvers, and I'll get into your comments here. You gain the ability to use combat maneuvers. You gain proficiency in 2 traditions from the following list, and there are names for them because there are well over 175 different martial maneuvers, and they are characterized by the schools. And their names are Biting Zephyr, Mirror's Glint, Mist and Shade, Rapid Current, Razor's Edge, Sanguine Knot, Spirited Steed, and Unending Wheel. A little vague in their descriptors as far as their titles are, but the desire was to keep them from sounding like an earth-cultured, like martial arts kind of thing. You know, we didn't want to do. The desire was not to make them sound like Shaolin monks or something like that. These are just basically types of ways of people that get into combat, and you get to pick 2 of them. This isn't the entire list, so except for the fighter, all the other martial classes that have combat maneuvers have a limited number of schools they can learn from. So only the fighter can learn from all of them. And yeah, at second level you learn 2 of those, and you gain. And this is this portion of it is listed for all of them, where it talks about your exertion pool and things like that. You gain an exertion pool equal to twice your proficiency bonus, regaining any spent exertion at the end of a short or long rest, which means that with a proficiency bonus starting at 2, you begin with 4 points, and then it goes to a maximum of 12. You use your maneuvers by spending points from your exertion pool. The maneuvers known column of the table, Marshal table, shows when you learn more maneuvers from a tradition you are proficient with, while the maneuver degree column shows the highest degree you can select, and it goes up to 5th degree. And then lastly, whenever you learn a new maneuver, you can choose one of the maneuvers you know and replace it with another maneuver of the same degree with a tradition you are proficient with. So yes, you can exchange one for another as you gain higher level. There we go. It's just, why can't you create a fighter, give him high intelligence and high charisma and specific skill set, and ding, he's a martial? I tend to agree, especially coming from a like I said, I'm reaching back into my OSR-isms. I'm kind of like that too, right? Like the names of some of the classes kind of don't matter to me much, you know. Like to me there isn't much of a difference between, say, like a knight or a samurai or a warlord, or you could come up with all kinds of names, and I'm like, yeah, but the same thing. So yeah, but people like it. It's unfortunate, but there is a realism about sales, and sexiness sells. And so when you create subclasses and different kind of classes, and there's new martial maneuvers and new spells and new monsters, most people get excited about that, and they want to purchase those things, despite the fact that you could literally just with a couple of keystrokes create your own thing and just rename and retitle those same things. But whatever. Now I will say that the martial maneuvers in A5E are pretty complicated, although their origins are pretty simple. So most of the warlord and other features from the martial classes were taken, dismantled, separated, modified, and then put into the combat maneuvers, so that other Marshal classes could pick and choose from them based on the schools that they would like to learn from. So, yeah. There's also, remember, the Beckme days. Basic, expert, champion, companion? I can't remember. Master and immortal? Anyway, Beckme days where you gain followers as you level up and eventually you command soldiers, making you something like a Marshal, and they had that back in the 80s. Yeah, but today people don't remember that. Like Shadow Dark is a perfect example of that. They're member of the Shy Squad. Shadow Dark, it's like people think it's brand new, but it's basically just OSR Dungeons and Dragons, where they're just like, this is 5th edition made simple. Yeah, it already existed. So you're right. Yep, Cavalier. Yep, Unearthed Arcana. I remember that one. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's a real thing. Yeah, I mean, if you really want to like boost sales and get people's attention, come up with, you know, a book of new monsters. Come up with a book that's themed about like Western gunfighters or something, and then you reskin, rewrite a bunch of like 5 or 6 different classes in the ancient old West, and people will get really excited about it, despite the fact that you could just be like, just reskin this thing. But that's just me. I'm a reskinner myself, but I do now, mind you. My name is attached to this, so the not these classes specifically. I was brought on for Trials and Treasures and the exploration part of it, but yeah. So at second level, there's lessons of war. Also at second level, you learn a lesson of war of your choice. Your lessons are detailed at the end of the class description. The lessons known column on the Marshal table shows when you learn more lessons of war, and we'll get to those as well. At third level, like most classes, you get a Marshal archetype, and you choose an archetype that focuses on the military stratagems you devise. Your choice grants you features at third level, and then again at 7th, 11th, 15th, and 18th level. Let's go to the lessons known. I'm going to page all the way down. And these are lessons of war, and these are the features. Again, up above, it tells you how many you get to choose from. I believe you begin with 1, and you start to pick and choose them. I don't believe any for the Marshal are gated behind a specific level or a specific feature, but there are many that are gated, meaning like you can't choose it unless because there's a prerequisite. But for Lessons of War, you gain access to a new lesson of war. Choose one of the following when you do. And there's exacting, keep walking, lay of the land, rewarding respite. This very first one, you've won more battles armed with a sextant and your keen intellect than you have any blade. You gain proficiency with navigator's tools, or if you are already proficient, an expertise die on checks made using them. And yes, could you make a Marshal that is like a pirate or a sailor or traveler or something like that? Yes, you can. And in A5E, the expertise die begins at a D4. And if you have multiple ways of gaining expertise with a certain type of action or skill or knowledge, it stacks by making the dice step up or down. Sometimes it's called a dice chain or step dicing, which you go from like D4, D6, D8, D10 going up to a max of D12, or you can come back down again. And so yeah, and you roll the expertise instead of like +1s, +2s. It is wrapped up in the expertise die. So if you have multiple forms of expertise, you don't, instead of having +1 here, +2 there, +3 here, another +1, instead the die just goes up, and you get to use that expertise die when you're doing this. So it says, when determining the distance you travel while journeying, you can make a DC 10 Navigator's Tools check to travel an additional number of miles equal to your proficiency bonus. There's keep walking, You can motivate your allies to keep going even when they are tired and hungry. Once between long rests, you can choose a number of allies equal to twice your proficiency bonus who can hear or understand you. Each ally can travel an additional hour before needing to make a Constitution saving throw for forced march. Would be cool if you knew some of those songs, those marching songs and whatnot, like the military style marching songs. Doesn't have to be, but it could be that way. But yeah, a lot of these lay of the land, rewarding repute, soldier kitting, team tactics, teamwork, things like that. Teamwork is pretty good. When you are involved in a group check, all members of the check gain an expertise die, which is kind of cool. Once you use this feature, you cannot do so again until you finish a long rest. Group checks are pretty important when it comes to the exploration portion of A5E, because everyone rolls and you need a majority success to do something as a group in terms of success failure, and then as a group you either have critical successes or critical failures. So everybody getting an expertise die is kind of cool, even though you only get to use it once before a long rest. Soldier kitting, team tactics, things like that. So let's move back up to 3rd level. There we go. At 3rd level, your martial direction improves the efficiency of your allies' attacks against an enemy you focus their attention on. You can use a bonus action to choose a creature you can see within 30 feet. Until the start of your next turn, creatures able to hear or see you gain an expertise die on attacks made against that creature. Basically, you're like, the troll over there! And then they're like, oh, okay, let's go after that one. And then everyone gains an expertise die, which begins, again, at a D4. So they get an extra D4 to attacks made against it, and so on and so forth. Similar, it's a little bit similar to like how the ranger can mark a foe as well, except basically you're standing on the outside. You're the triangle. You're one member, one point of the triangle, and you're like, hey guys, you over to my left, go to the right and attack the giant. It's kind of cool. ASI, ability score improvements at 4th level, and so on. And then combat directives. Starting at 5th level, you can direct your companions so effectively that they can use the techniques you've mastered. You learn one additional combat maneuver from the Sanguine Knot tradition. That's one of those combat schools. This combat maneuver does not count against the number of combat maneuvers that you know. In addition, when a creature uses your commanding presence to make an attack, it can simultaneously use one Sanguine Knot combat maneuver that you know. If the creature does not have any exertion points to spend on combat maneuvers, it does not require exertion points for that use, but it cannot benefit from combat directives again until it's finished a short or long rest. And yeah, we can go to combat maneuvers to go to Sanguine Knot. Think of Sanguine Knot as the Spartans from 300, or the Viking shield wall or phalanx shield wall from like ancient Greco-Roman soldiers or something like that. Sanguine Knot is kind of like that, tied together in blood. Hey, Cosmo. I remember the Hexblade. Companion, which had wilderness rules, epic for the immortal-like stuff when you're 20th level and shit. Yeah. I think it was Companion. I was like, was it Champion or Companion? I couldn't remember the title of it. But that's where the Beckme, for those who don't know, that's where the Beckme comes from. It's a, I was going to say an algorithm. It's a, it's the initials. of the different systems, yeah, up to epic level. And I think epic went well above 20th level as well. Like it was like god tier, and how it had rules for adventuring and things like that. I'm real surprised that in current gaming, because there's people who are like, we want to go 20th level and above, that a lot of that stuff hasn't been reprinted, but whatever. Extra attack at 5th level. And of course, combining this with your martial abilities, if you have an extra, now that you have an extra attack at 5th level, you can give one of your allies one of your extra attacks, basically like commanding them, giving them advice, instructions to do a thing. We're going to get to something that I appreciate in 5th edition, and I mean in advanced 5th edition in A5E. We're going to get to it pretty soon. At 5th level, you gain one inexperienced follower. At 10th, 15th, and 20th level, you gain an additional follower, or one of your followers becomes more experienced. When one of your followers dies, after 1 month, you receive word that their replacement is ready to join you. So don't set them up as meat shields. It's going to be a month before another one comes to get you, comes for you. Call to arms. Beginning at 6th level, when you roll initiative, you and each creature friendly to you that are within range of your commanding presence gain an expertise die to their initiative check. Additionally, when you roll for initiative, you can switch your result with that of any ally you can see. And that's pretty cool. I mean, I remember when we played, we used to roll initiative every round. I know that's a little too deep in the weeds and too complicated for some people, but I do appreciate the fact of like being able to switch around the initiative results if you're not doing side initiative. But if you're not doing it that way, that's a pretty cool ability. And here is where I feel like A5E shines. So this is known as Marshal Renown at 6th level, and you'll see below Marshal Renown that there are 3 choices for famous, infamous, or maverick. And many of the classes, depending on what level you go to, you have a choice in what you can pick. So it really gives you, instead of like a class that specifically puts you in a particular category, there are a number of options. And also depending on the theme of your game, some games are like all monster combat oriented. Other games have a lot more social impact in terms of how the game is done. Others are very more exploration, and you'll notice that there's choices to massage the character, to shape the character like clay, based on your gaming style and the people that you play with. But anyway, at 6th level, tales of your deeds take root in the hearts of the people. As a leader, you are more famous than most adventurers. You add half your proficiency bonus to your prestige rating. In addition, your reputation strongly affects how you are perceived, and when it becomes known that you are in a settlement, people treat you accordingly. At the narrator's discretion, there may be settlements, such as an enemy's war camp, where you cannot utilize this feature, but you get to choose one of the following. Famous. When you arrive at a settlement, after you reveal who you are, local authority figures seek you out to make introductions and invite you to share a meal or drink. In addition, you gain an expertise die on persuasion checks, or you can pick infamous. When you arrive in a settlement, after you reveal who you are, common folk hurry to get out of your way. And when you corner a commoner to ask about something local, they rapidly tell you whatever details they think you might want to know. In addition, you gain an expertise die on intimidation checks. And then lastly, there's a choice of maverick. When you arrive in a settlement, after you reveal who you are, the local watch starts keeping an eye on you. Heads of illegal organizations may introduce themselves to you if they have goals well suited to your talents. Additionally, guards expect you're up to no good, so are quick to leave their posts to follow you. And mind you, not only can you pick and choose these during mechanically as you gain levels, you can go back and pick another choice if there is a choice for you to make. So at one point you might be famous, and then at another point you might become a maverick or whatnot. Also, I would suggest, and this isn't in the rules, but I feel like it's organic, a famous character that may travel to a distant land in that new land might be considered infamous, or vice versa, right? So my feeling about the Marshal Renown is not only by choice, but I think if I were to run a game, I would say, hey, listen, you know, you're well known in the north, but when you go down to the south, your exploits up in the north actually change, and I would have a discussion with the player to see if it would fit into it. But I think for the most part they'd be like, yeah, that'd be kind of cool, especially if you're playing like a knighted character, like a marshal, but you're like, hey, I've been knighted, I'm the good and holy knight. But then when you go down to the southern region, you're considered someone who is probably because of your exploits against their political regime or something like that. It would be kind of cool to play a character that way. Lastly, at 6th level, versatile exploration. Also at 6th level, whenever you learn a new lesson of war or replace an existing one, you can instead choose from fighter soldiering knacks. And like I said before, for the Marshal, they have something known as lessons of war. For the fighter, they have something known as soldiering knacks, and you can mix and match those. And there are some character classes where when you get to a certain level, you get to pick from other character class options, which, strangely enough, the character classes are so mutable and customizable that you really don't need the multi-class. To be honest with you, I mean, yes, you can do it, but because of the options that you gain as you gain higher levels, it almost works against you by multi-classing, because then you don't get to keep making these other options. It's kind of like you're short-circuiting your growth and your ability to shape your character too much. I mean, yes, I know multi-classing is very, very common, but for A5E, I would personally, mechanically, mathematically, I would be against it, because just because of things like that. Like at 6th level, you get this thing. At 9th level, you get this thing to pick this other thing and whatnot. So go back to the comments. AJ, hey. yeah. But I missed the Warlord for 5th edition. We need our Marshal control and support class. Yeah, and I hope I have enough time to go into the Marshal things. Yeah, and by the way, thank you very much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you I'm a lowly nobody with a minor channel, so I really appreciate it. I appreciate you stopping by. Yeah. Alley says, nice. Reputation depends from region to region, or reputation depending upon other races. Now, let me say this. As rules is written, it doesn't change. I'm saying that the way A5E is incorporating it, I think it actually makes a lot more sense that the player kind of doesn't get to choose it. It's more like the people get to choose what capability the character has, which sounds like the player would be punished, but I don't think so. My personal opinion would be that let me move back up to the choice here, right? So we have there we go. So we have Marshal Renown, and you have your 3 choices: famous, infamous, and maverick. And I think it'd be kind of cool for the player to go to one place and they get that expertise die on persuasion, and then they go someplace else and they get that expertise die on intimidation, right? And then they go to a 3rd place and there's like criminal organizations coming up to them, right? Now, mind you, criminal, what does criminal mean? In a totalitarian regime, the criminals might be the good guys. They are the rebel alliance coming out of the woodwork to come up to that character. You know what I mean? So yeah. If you're a famous warlord and you're a goodly person who's been freeing the people, yeah, you're going to be known as being infamous to your enemies, right? Famous to your people, infamous to your enemies. So, and they may know about your exploits and be kind of scared of you too. So that's personally, I think you could run it that way. Mind you, as a narrator, I would kind of want to get permission from the player. But if the player's down for it, I'd be like, yeah, hell yeah, because it just seems kind of cool. We're going to only go to 10th level here, but 7th level, you get the archetype feature. We can go to some of the subclasses if you want, but I prefer to go to the Marshal capabilities. Level 9, beginning at 9th level, when an ally you can see who can hear or see you fails an ability check or saving throw, you can use your reaction to make them re-roll. Make them. Anyway, once you use this feature, you must finish a long rest before you can use it again. Starting at 13th level, you regain use of this feature after finishing a short or long rest. So, remember, this does not say advantage on the roll. This says you use your reaction to make them re-roll. So they could have failed even if they had advantage on it, and then you can make them re-roll again, whatever that re-roll constitutes. So, yeah. But basically, it's like you in a weird, it's a slightly remodified version of a legendary action that you can hand off to your allies who can see or hear you. Now, let's keep this. Keep in mind, see or hear you is important because A5E really is embracing the exploration pillar of gaming, which means that things like fog and mazes and, I don't know, tight corridors or debris and things like that, a darkness spell and whatnot, if your allies can't see or hear you, you really can't do these things. So on one hand, no, the Marshal does not have magical abilities, right? This can be used in an anti-magic shell. On the other hand, there are logical, mundane things that could prevent this. Like, for example, if the players are near a waterfall and the waterfall is falling and is deafening and they can't hear you, but they also can't see you through the curtain of water, then you can't use this for your allies, for them. And I know that sounds like nitpicking, but the point is to make it nitpicking because that's the whole point of the exploration pillar, right? To have to be creative to navigate around those things. So anyway, level 10, expanded directives. Starting at 10th level, your capacity to direct your companions broadens. Choose one tradition that you know combat maneuvers from. You are able to use combat directives to grant uses of combat maneuvers from the chosen tradition. And then at 15th level, choose a second tradition that you know combat maneuvers from. Basically, your combat maneuvers you can transfer over to other allies. And then lastly, at 10th level, rouse the troops. Also at 10th level, you can spend 1 minute speaking words of encouragement and support to reinvigorate your companions. Although, to be honest with you, you could probably be rude, like, get off your lazy asses, or something, you know what I mean? But although movie-wise, you got to have that really cool music in the background, riding on a horse in front of the troops that happen to be lined up exactly perfectly, which always happens in movies, right? Those are always rousing speeches, but it's really cool. I would love to be the writer in the room when they do those rousing speeches. All right, Captain America. Yeah. Each friendly creature that can hear or understand you can spend any number of hit dice to regain hit points without having to finish a short rest. In addition, each creature that does spend at least one hit die in this way can remove one level of fatigue or strife. In A5E, fatigue is physical exhaustion and strife is mental exhaustion. It's been separated, so that's why it has new names of fatigue and strife. Once a creature has removed a level of fatigue or strife from your use of this class feature, the creature must finish a long rest before it can do so again. So it can't keep stacking this up and up and up and up. But yeah, you can rouse the troops, especially if they've been beaten down and you are the support character and you're like, come to me, fellas, stand up. We can't give up. And the cleric's like, I've got a healing spell. And everyone's like, shut up. We don't need you right now. But anyway, that's kind of cool. So this is the Marshal. We've gone on to here, and we're going to go. I am online right now. I'm going over to A5E.tools. We're going to go to the combat maneuvers section if I can remember where to go there. Rules, combat maneuvers. Here we go. We're going to go to. Damn it. Rules, combat maneuvers. Let's go over to sanguine knots. What? Come on, here. Damn it, let me just click it. Fuck it. Boy. Tradition. Mist and shade. Sanguine knot. Here we go. So, what I did is I just used the combat maneuvers and filtered it down to sanguine knot. I didn't change any, so I have all of the degrees available, all the action types, all the exertion point levels, and all of the. We'll hit Adventurer's Guide too, just in case there's other combat maneuvers from other systems. And sanguine knot tradition is like I said, it's similar to like the soldiers from 300. Yeah, I should. I just saw your comments here. Yeah, a lowly nobody who was in the original RPG Brigade back in 2011. Yeah, I was there. I remember those times. Yeah. AJ Sajibe is an old school veteran of YouTube way back. Yeah, he was there at the beginning and has produced some of the most high quality environmental RPGs. So the honor is mine. Oh, thank you so much. I'm gonna make a t-shirt and put that on there, damn it. Oh man, I really appreciate it. Okay, martial maneuvers. Yeah, doesn't look like much, but imagine yourself in a leather Speedo and your body perfectly hairless and oiled up with a washboard six-pack. If that sounds a little dirty, it's meant to be. Anyway, so this is a summary of each of these abilities: back to back, bodyguard, brotherhood stance, double tackle, double team, double time, dual grapple. Yes, these are in alphabetical order. Next to the list here of the names, you have points, and this is how many exertion points you can spend. Remember, it's twice your proficiency, so you begin with 4 points and you go to a maximum of 12. Next is the degree that they are. So of course, if you only have access to first degree abilities, like this first one here, double team, then you can't pick a second degree until it is open to you. The tradition, of course, we filtered it down to only sanguine knot. The action type, you can very quickly look at this and go, is it an action, a reaction, a bonus action? And there are bonus action stances. You cannot mix and match stances unless it allows you to say you can specifically stand in 2 stances. And a stance is like a concentration spell from the wizard and clerical schools. So if you get into a stance, the stance remains until you change it. Yeah, like for example, the Brotherhood stance says take the help action whenever you hit with a melee weapon attack, right? So you hit a creature and you hit them, and now it's like you taking the help action with like someone else, or someone else is helping with you. So let's see what's available to us here. First degree, double team, double tackle. So let's go to double team. First degree ability, first degree sanguine knot bonus action. Working in tandem with an ally, you fray the defenses of an opponent so your companion can better land a strike. Choose a creature within your reach. The next ally within 20 feet that makes a melee or melee weapon attack against that creature can use their bonus action to make an athletics check against the target's maneuver DC to grapple or push the target 10 feet. I know that sounds complicated, and this is I'll say this is a little bit of a downside to many of the martial maneuvers, because one of the criticisms of martial maneuvers is that there's stacked consequences to using them, right? Like, okay, so first it has to be a creature within your reach. Then it has to be your next ally, and they got to be within 20 feet, making a weapon attack. And then now they get to have to use their bonus action. Hopefully they haven't used it yet. to make an athletics check, and then that means it's against the DC maneuver to grapple or push another target 10 feet, right? And many of the martial maneuvers are like that. The reason for that was there was a trade-off. These abilities are non-magical, which means you can't dispel them, you can't anti-magic them, you can't counter-magic them. So they bypass magical defenses of many monsters, like legendary actions and things like that. For legendary, well, there is legendary saves where they automatically make a saving throw, but despite that, it bypasses that. So the stacked specificity of many of the martial maneuvers was the trade-off. You know what? Hey, listen, you get to do this thing, but you got to set it up, and that's where it comes from. Also, because you're just spending points, it's not like spell slots or whatever. As long as you got points, you can keep doing it over and over and over again, right? So it's like, that's basically how it is. Double tackle. Let's go to the double tackle that's right near double team. Costs 3 points. Second degree sanguine, not action. You and an ally tackle a foe together. Your combined strength forces them to the ground. Choose an ally you can see. Your ally can use their reaction to move up to 20 feet to be adjacent to a creature you designate. As long as you move at least 20 feet, both you and your ally are adjacent to the creature. It makes a strength saving throw or is knocked prone. Alternatively, you and your ally may both choose to go prone to force the creature to fail its save. You cannot use this maneuver against creatures more than one size category larger than you or your ally. So, yeah. Football, rugby, right? Something like American football or rugby, right? It's like, tackle his asses, water sucks. It really, really sucks. Don't hurt me. Anyway, it's something like that, yeah. The Speedos, hey, listen, you don't necessarily have to wear your own Speedo if you don't like to. You can wear my leather Speedo. It's got some use to it, but whatever. We're all in this together there, buddy. We are all in this together. Leather Speedos, shaved pubes, oiled six-packs. Well, I don't know. Mine isn't a six-pack. Mine's like a barrel, but whatever. So anyway, as you can see, for Sanguine Knot, there are a lot of these. These were play-tested. Maybe somewhere in there, there are some things where you're just looking like, oh, I don't know if these work together and stuff. But yeah, and again, these are options that you can use to put things together. Like here's a first degree one that's really easy. Shield Wall. One costs 1 point. First degree Sanguine Knot is a bonus action. Adjacent allies with shields gain +2 AC. Kind of cool. Shoulder Check, the first degree one. Shove a creature 10 feet when it attacks an ally, and you can do that as a reaction. United we stand, and that's Sanguine Knot. And let's go back to, let's reset this. Let's go to combat maneuvers in general. And there are basic maneuvers, and then there's the maneuver list. The basic maneuvers are things everybody can use, like push and shove, disarm, things like that. And here we talk about all of the different schools of the martial maneuvers: Adamant Mountain, Biting Zephyr, Mirrors, Glint, Mist and Shade, so on and so forth. There's maneuvers in combat. And again, maneuvers in combat are like spells, except they just use your physical stats. So it's DC. The DC saves are 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your strength or dex modifier. I think there's a couple maneuvers that use your con modifier, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But instead of using like intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, this is for the fighter class. Same thing. And then we have prerequisites and stances. Stances. Once activated, a combat stance remains active until you are knocked unconscious, stunned. Activate a different stance, begin a long rest, or choose to end your turn. Right? So You get into the stance and you're in that stance. And exertion pool talks about the exertion pool. And then we go to the maneuvers list. And again, these are all the things in order of all of the different types of the traditions, in alphabetical order. You can definitely pick and choose ones. Maybe as a character you want to have plenty that are reactions, or maybe your character's higher level, you want to find some 4th and 5th degree actions, especially if you're like from the fighter class. There's different traditions. Some of these are from the releases after the core books, like comedic jabs and things like that. But yeah, Biting Zephyr, Mirror's Glint, Mist and Shade, Spirited Steed, Unending Wheel. Let's go there. Let's go to Unending Wheel and Adventurer's Guide and apply. And I believe this is choose. You can choose these for the Marshal. And there we go. Any weapon stance, dangerous signature, deflecting strike, disarming assault, expert sidestep, heart of the sword. If I'm not mistaken, Unending Wheel. Let's go to it. Unending Wheel. What the hell? Huh. I see a mistake. I'm going to let them know about that. That is a problem. Anyway, if I'm not mistaken, I think Unending Wheel is like is mastering a weapon or set of weapons and then using them to their highest ability. Like a what was the old Kensai, I think it was. That was from the old Oriental Adventures. The Kensai, I believe, was like that kind of character. Zoro is kind of like that as well. Cut a symbol into your target in order to frighten it. I'm going to cut a Z. Yeah. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for letting me show this off to you guys. I really appreciate it. Also, thank you very much for checking out Level Up 5th Edition. Someone else who's got a channel far bigger than mine as well, who happens not to be here other than AJ Pickett, is Sly Flourish. Sly Flourish is a huge proponent of Level Up 5th Edition. And for those who have a different opinion of Level Up 5th Edition, meaning like, when I say different opinion, what I mean by that is like, maybe you're just like, oh, I don't know about all these 5th Edition clones. I don't know what to choose. I'm not a fan of all this stuff. Let's just remember that this has already been done before. The OSR, yes, there's maybe 10 times many more rules, but this has already been done before. And what I mean by already done is that in the OSR, there are different rule sets, but everyone understands that given just some slight modifications, you can mix and match and use one OSR thing from another. Knave is different than Shadow Dark, which is, I guess that's also called the new SR. But anyway, which is different than Lamentations of the Flame Princess, which is different than Swords and Sorcery, which is different than Castles and Crusades, which is different than OSE and all this kind of stuff. But everybody knows, like, hey, this isn't exactly my rule set, but it's easy to modify. And this is different. This is the same thing. We are just happen to be in a new season of this exact thing. So Level Up 5th Edition, Tales of the Valiant, hell, even the MCDM game, which isn't even using D20s, even Daggerheart, which again isn't using D20s. All these things you can pick and choose from and just mix and match whatever the hell you want. Yeah, I agree. Sly Flourish is awesome. I love his stuff. His general style of DMing. Yep. And I appreciate his tonality. right? Like he can be negative and then cast praise at the exact same time in the same sentence, and I really appreciate that, you know. So yeah, but anyway, guys, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for letting me show off these kind of things on Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday, which is Future Friday. We're going to talk about science fiction and what I'm working on, Obsidian Star, the transhumanist, post-humanist science fiction game taking place in our own solar system, which I almost feel bad. My feelings, I feel sorry for our own solar system because it doesn't get, The Expanse was one of the best pieces of content we've ever gotten for our own solar system, and I feel like our own solar system is like the stepchild of mistreated stepchild of our gaming community. We have almost 300 different moons, and I suspect that if we were we're going to definitely talk about it, specifically talk about it, not just in general, but yeah, we're going to talk about the gaming system that I have not finalized, but I've had to figure out how to do it, if that makes sense. All the other little intricacies, like I changed the monetary system, and I'm calling it ICE because it's like ice, like real world ice, H2O, hydrogen, oxygen, and things like all that kind of stuff. Bricks. We still have bricks. We still have data cores. I think bricks are kind of fun, the whole thing with the bricks. We'll go into it because the information is a little bit out of date for most people when I've been talking about science fiction, and we're still using the asset system, the gear and baggage system. Like the stuff you're carrying are basically your hit points, and you can temporarily lose them. And the little hexagons I had with your assets, your positive abilities in them, are going to be like your pockets. So when you suffer harm, you can't use what's in your pockets. So you get to mix and match and put things in your pockets. Anyway, it makes sense. I'm like fast forwarding to tomorrow. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for letting me show off Level Up 5th edition. Again, I was using the A5E.tools. Let me go back to the homepage, by the way. Yes, the doobly-doo was the link to this is down at doobly-doo. It is an open beta because they keep adding to it. By the way, for those who want to create for this game, there is an SRD, and it is in the Creative Commons, and yes, you can produce material for it. If you go to the Level Up Advanced 5th Edition website with the link down below, you can get the zip files. The zip files are massive. There are probably 1,000 pages, maybe 800 pages worth of material that you can use to carve your own material out of it. Adventures, new monsters, new subclasses, and things like that. So yeah. You can do that if you'd like. So, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. I would ask you to do for a call to action, but instead, let's do it this way. Yeah, if you've been this far, you kind of get it. Oh, hell, everybody over on Twitch. Can't forget you either. Guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Yeah, happy Vice Friday. Yeah, let me put you up here. Gotta get that. Bam! Yeah, awesome. Guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. peace and tranquility. Bye.